All right. Today we're going to talk about dividing decimals by decimals. So in your table of contents, I want you to add 3-5, dividing decimals by decimals. And everybody should be on page 24. Yes, ma'am.
Do you want me to skip those pages since I'm out?
Yeah, because you have to put this stuff on. Does anybody in here need a highlighter today? Because we do need a highlighter for one thing. So if you don't have one, just raise your hand. I'll bring it to you. All right. So we are still on this same indicator. And y'all, this is the last part of this indicator. Okay? We're on the very last lesson for this. What does fluently mean? Josh, I've been using your analogy for like 2 days. What does fluently mean?
Know it like your name.
Know it like your name. Josh, what'd you say fluently means?
To know it like your name. Just
To know it like your name, to know it like you can read.
know it like how you know how to read.
Yes, know it like you know how to read. So, have we been able to fluently add decimals? Yep. Subtract decimals? Yes. Multiply decimals? Yes. And that one we're still kind of working on, okay? We're still multiplying, because multiplying, there's a lot of steps when you got a lot of numbers, okay? Now, dividing. We did division by whole numbers, but we have not done division by decimals. So that's where we are today. And our focus statement today is kind of long, okay? So I want you to write this at the top. I can fluently divide multi-digit decimal numbers by decimal numbers. Now, y'all, if you don't want to write out the word numbers, what should you write? What can you put?
The hashtag.
You can put the hashtag. That's fine, okay? Everybody knows what a hashtag is, right? All right, I have the focus statement up here, and I know that you can still see it on your iPad, but I want to talk about these steps for a second, okay? Today's lesson, every lesson we've had so far, I've only had 4 steps, okay? This one has 6 steps, so this one is the most difficult one we've done so far. So, step 1 tells us we have to translate from the horizontal form to the division house form. You know, with the box, okay? So you're changing it from horizontal to the box. Move the decimal point in the divisor to make it a whole number. And we're going to talk about why that works in just a second. Step 3 says, if you do it for the divisor, you must do it for the dividend. Remember the analogy that I gave you a long time ago. If I go to the Dollar General and I buy M&Ms for Campbell, I have to what?
Do the same for.
Do the same for John, okay? If I do it for one, I've got to do it for the other one, okay? So if I do it for the divisor, the number outside the box, I've got to do it for the dividend, the number inside the box. Number 4, rewrite your problem, okay? You must rewrite your problem. So I want you to take your highlighter and I want you to highlight that part, okay? This is a part where students don't really like to do this. They don't like to do that because it takes up time, okay? It is very important, step 4. If you do not rewrite it, you are going to make a mistake in where your decimal should be, okay? And y'all, everything else is the same. You bring your decimal straight up, and then you divide just like you do with whole numbers. But there must be no remainders. No remainders. If you have a remainder, you've got to add a 0 and keep going, okay? You cannot have a remainder when you have decimals, all right? So, let's talk about, let me go here because I need it to be blank. Let's say that I have 4 2/10 as my divisor and 8 4/10 as my dividend. I told you, we cannot have a decimal in our divisor. So we've got to do something with that number right there, okay? Yes, ma'am.
You move the decimal behind 2.
How many times do I need to move it?
1.
Just one place. Y'all, essentially what that means is I took 4 2/10 and I multiplied by 10, okay? Because anytime we multiply by a power of 10, we're just moving the decimal, all right? That's the why behind what we're doing. So if I do it to the number on the outside, what do I have to do to the inside? I have to do the exact same thing for the inside, okay? Now, what did step 4 tell us we have to do?
Rewrite your problem.
Rewrite the problem. Y'all, that is where so many students want to just go ahead and do it this way. But y'all, that looks like a what? That looks like a mess, okay? So we must rewrite our problem. Go ahead and put your decimal at the end, okay? All right? Just so that you know it's there in case you've got to add some zeros. So, we're not going to finish that one. We are going to, oh, no, that's not my arrow. I need to do it here. All right, we're going to write this one. 6 5/10, and I want you to write it just like I have it right here. 6 5/10 divided by 1 3/10. I want you to write it just like I've written it here. And then we are going to check off as we do each step for this one, okay? Step 1 says, translate from the horizontal form to the division house form. So I need to have my box. Trip over my board. And what's going to go inside my box?
6 5/10.
6 5/10. And my 1 3/10 is going to go outside of my box. So y'all, you don't have to check these off, but we've done step 1, okay? What does step 2 tell us to do?
Move the decimal point in the divisor to make it other number.
So, which number is the divisor?
Divisor, the 1 3/10.
The 1 3/10. So how many times do I need to move it? Once, right there. So we've done step 2. What does step 3 tell us to do?
Basically do the same thing.
Do the same thing to the dividend. So how many times do I need to move it? Once. Step 4 is important. What do we have to do for step 4?
Rewrite it.
Rewrite it. So I have 13 on the outside, and I have 65 on the inside. I'm going to put my decimal right here, y'all, in case I have to add a 0, okay? Just as a precaution. How many times will 13 go into 6?
0.
0. How many times will 13 go into 65?
Don't know yet.
Okay, so what do you want to try?
5.
Yay, Ava! So, now y'all, we did 65 divided by 13. So do you think if I multiply 1 3/10 by 5, I'll get 6 5/10? Do you think? You gonna try it?
No.
You don't have to. I'm gonna try it, okay? 1 3/10 times 5. What's 5 times 3?
15.
Write my 5, carry my 1. 5 times 1 is
5.
plus 1 is
Six.
6. And how many numbers do I need behind the decimal?
1.
Did I get 6 and 5/10? Yeah. So does it work to do this?
Mhm.
Yes, it works to do this. All right. I'm going to erase this because when I pull up the second example, it's going to be in my writing and there's no way for me to.
I estimate if the number is below 5, I estimate it down to like 10 or 11, and then I do it, and then if it's 1, if it's like 6, I bring it down to 5.
Yes. All right. I want you to write this one just like I have it. Write it just the way it is right there. 20 and 7/10 divided by 6/10. All right, now I want you to transfer that to the division house form. I want you to do step 1. Not yet. Oh, wait a minute. What's going to go inside my house?
20 and 7
20 and 7/10. And what's going to go outside my house?
6.
6/10. So I've done step 1. What does step 2 tell me I have to do?
Move the decimal point and the divisor.
All right, divisor's outside the house. How many times do I have to move it?
1.
1. If I do it to the outside, I have to what?
Do the same for the
Do it to the inside. Step 4 tells me I must what?
rewrite it.
Rewrite it. As much as you don't want to rewrite it, you've got to what?
Do it.
Do it. Please make sure you put a decimal at the end. Just to help yourself, okay? How many times will 6 go into 2?
0.
20.
3.
3 times 6 is
18.
20 minus 18 is
2.
2. How many times will 6 go into 27?
4.
4. 4 times 6 is
24.
24. Can I have a remainder of 3?
No.
No. So what do I need to do?
Add a 0 in and bring it back.
Add a 0. I'm going to put my decimal up there at the top and bring down my 0. How many times will 6 go into 30?
5.
5 times 6 is
30.
30. Better? Can I erase this so I can go to the third one? All right, this one I gave you a little bit of a curveball. 732 thousandths divided by n. For n equals 600. So I want you to write that as the division house. All right, how many times do I have to move it?
2.
2. 1, 2. 1, 2. So I have 6 on the outside, and I have 73 and 2/10 on the inside. What should I do with my decimal? Bring it
Push it up.
straight up. How many times will 6 go into 7?
1.
1. times 6 is 6. How many times will 6 go into 13?
2,
2 times 6 is?
12,
How many times will 6 go into 12?
2,
All right, does anybody need more time on this one? Ava, are you good? Okay. I have one more. It's kind of a tricky one.
you put order of operation.
I did. Don't we love order of operations? All right, so we have 6 and 3500 times 10 squared divided by 5/10. So what are we going to have to do first?
There's no parentheses, so exponent.
No parentheses, so we've got to do exponents. 10 squared is what?
100.
100 because it's 10 times 10. So we have 6 and 35 hundredths times 100 divided by 5/10. If I multiply 6 and 35 hundredths by 100, what am I going to do with my decimal? Move it. How many times, Bree? 2, because I have 2 zeros. I'm going to move it twice. So I'm going to have 635 divided by 5/10. Now what do I do? What goes inside my box?
635.
Now what must I do?
Bring the decimal over.
I've got to move my decimal over. Well, y'all,
There's a magic one.
there's a magic one. What do I have to put there?
0.
A 0. How many times will 5 go into 6?
Once.
1 times 5 is?
10 times 5 is
Okay.
5.
How many times will 5 go into 13?
2.
2. How many times will 5 go into 35?
7.
What about 0?
0.
What's wrong, Bree?
I can't see it.
Is that better? Or is it because I wrote down here in the dark?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
All right, there is an exit ticket, okay? It's on the last slide.